are such an asshole.
All right, I got a question that's probably on everybody's mind, and I didn't have the answer to it, so I had to go and research it, and I did not find a satisfactory answer for myself, but I think the answer is somewhere out there. Hey, Cappy, military vet here. Please keep me anonymous. I'd like a video. With inflation being out of control, I recently changed my investing strategy to hedge against inflation by buying I bonds through the U.S. Treasury. You could buy 10,000 worth of I bonds each year, and I feel like it's a good opportunity to lock in guaranteed return on money with a 9% inflation rate. I've bought 13,000 worth of I bonds so far, and I look at it as an additional Roth IRA. Also, given that inflation keeps going up, why do you think the federal government isn't allowing citizens to purchase more than 10,000 worth of bonds each year? I want to get your opinion on what you think about I bonds. Well, I agree with you on I bonds, the investments unto themselves. Risk-free, because it's guaranteed by the full faith of the United States federal government and all the lazy, parasitic American not working people that aren't going to produce the real GDP that's necessary to give the dollar value. But we got money printers, and they will go burr, and they will give you 9% more burr dollars than what you gave the government before. But yes, it's risk-free. You'll keep your hedge against inflation and to the penny, according to the official rate of inflation, because that is what I bonds are designed to do. There's other ways they hedge against inflation long term, going back to historical studies. Aside from inflation bonds, the purpose of which is to inflate, the S&P 500 over the long haul has proved to be the best hedge against inflation. Precious metals are not that good. Real estate, I think, is better than precious metals. All depends on the interest rate. But let's keep that artificially set now, shan't we? Because we have a free economy. Capitalism's destroying us. Never mind. So, yeah, I do like them for the purpose that they serve. Now, as to why you can only buy 10,000 of them, little do people know that the Treasury limited the amount of savings bonds you could buy in the past, whether there was inflation days or not. And that amount has changed. It ebbed and flowed. I think at one time it was like 50,000, with the 30,000, it goes up and down. Now we're at 10. And so based on the research I could put together, there's 3 explanations. One official and 2 speculative. All right. The first one comes from the Treasury Department's website. And they say the reason why we limit you, I'm paraphrasing here, you can look it up. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it again. The reason we limit it is that they want savings bonds to be a savings. And if you had more money than this $10,000 amount, or back then would have been 30,000, you say, well, wait, that's contradictory. Wouldn't it be more today with inflation? Yes, it would. But this is the official. The government's telling you this. Remember about the root beer float you're supposed to take? It is perfectly fine. Now the FDA revoked it. It's the same government. They say studies show, research suggests that they say that you should not, if you're going to invest more than $10,000 a year, you should be looking at other alternative investments like Treasury bills, longer term U.S. bonds, other government securities bonds that are not the savings bonds. And that's the excuse they gave before the savings bonds came up. Okay. Thank you for being so caring about our finances, federal government. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. That's great. That doesn't explain it, in my opinion. The reason I came up with is the obvious one, that the federal government can't afford 8, 9, 10% inflation rate. And if too many people bought too many bonds, I mean, well, let's do 300 million. Well, let's say 150 million. Times 10,000. 1, 2, 3. All right. So that is millions. This would be in millions. That would be 1.5 million millions, 1.5 trillion. So if 150,000 people bought the max, which isn't going to happen, that'd be 1.5 trillion on the United States federal debt balance sheet, accruing 9% inflation, which at one point that'd be, what is that? Would that be 1.5? Why can't I do the math? 0.09, 100 billion, 150 billion a year in interest. So they're limiting it so that they could probably afford that. But if you could buy as much as you wanted, Also, the federal government's looking at 10 trillion in debts at accruing 9% of it. It would go bankrupt overnight. Then we'd have to print off money. We'd have hyperinflation. And then Joe Biden wouldn't get reelected. And we all know that's really important that Democrats or whoever's in power, like Trump, who made money print a Cobra more than Biden did. It's more important that we get reelected than we tell the American people the truth about basic finance and economics and inflation. So that's the main one, that they can't afford a 9% interest on the majority of their debts, so they're not going to issue that much debt. They're going to cap the amount of debt they issue. The other one, this was very clear. This is from a 2013 article. An economist was saying, I don't know. He said he too. I tried to find out why, and he couldn't come up with it. And he says he speculates that Wall Street or financial companies don't want small-time folksy people buying too many trillions worth of government bonds through the banks or the treasury.gov, which you do it online now, because they don't get their commission. If an investment bank does a huge government bond issue or they sell bonds to investors on the private side of things, they get commission. There's a lot of money. So the government has tens of trillions in debt. There's hundreds of billions of dollars to be made. That's hundreds of billions of dollars that could go to rich people on Wall Street. So here I will agree with the Marxist leftists. Yes, it is rich people screwing over poor, folksy, Main Street home folk people. And so that's another reason where it's like, well, okay, issue it so little Jimmy gets his $100 savings bond from grandpa. But you're doing like 95% of your volume through us, federal government. Federal government's like, okay, because you donated to my election campaign, and I don't have to get a real job. Look at me, I'm Ocasio-Cortez. And that's it. So that's what I came up with. All right, any super chats? Boom, nothing. See you guys later. Toodles.